Hello friends, now welcome to the next lecture of this lecture series on the basics of transformer and transformer design. In last lecture, I have explained you the concept of the voltage regulation of the transformer. So in today's lecture, let us derive a mathematical expression for approximate voltage regulation of the transformer. So here again I am going to consider the simple equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the secondary side, and I will also consider the corresponding phasor diagram of the transformer on load with lagging power factor. So let us draw this approximate equivalent circuit referred to the secondary side. So this will be your V1 dash, which is transferred on the secondary side, which is also equals to E2. On secondary side, current is I2. Total effective resistance of the transformer referred to secondary side RT2. This is the total effective reactance of the transformer referred to secondary side. And this is your ZL as it is, and this is your terminal voltage V2 across the load. Okay. Let us now draw the phasor diagram for lagging power factor. So what will be my reference vector? V2. From this diagram only I will draw the phasor diagram. So I will take V2 as a reference vector. I2 lags V2 by some angle phi. Then I2 RT2 drop is in parallel with my I2. So this is your I2 RT2, and perpendicular to this I2, this is your I2 XT2, and vector addition of all these is nothing but your V1 dash, which is nothing but equals to K into V1, which is equals to your induced EMF E2, right? And vector sum of I2 RT2 and I2 XT2 I can draw here. That is your I2 ZT2. Now from this phasor diagram only we have to derive the formula for the voltage regulation. Now students, what I will do, I will draw one parallel line to the, now this is the line, I2 XT2 is the phasor which is drawn perpendicular to I2, right? So now I will draw one line which is perpendicular to V2. So this is my V2 vector. I have drawn one line perpendicular to V2. This is the line perpendicular to I2. So what is angle between V2 and I2 is phi. Therefore, the angle between the perpendicular to V2 and the perpendicular to I2 is also phi. Right? Similarly, I will extend this line like this. V2 line like this. Okay? I will mark this as a dotted. Similarly, this line as a dotted line. Similarly, what I will do, I will put one perpendicular from this. Why we are putting these perpendiculars and all that? Because we have to derive the approximate voltage regulation formula from the phasor diagram. So now again see, what is this angle? This voltage vector is extended. So angle between this voltage vector and vector which is parallel to your I2 is again phi. Okay, again phi. So what is this vector? What is this? This is nothing but, as this is your right angle triangle, this length will be, what is this length? This length will be I2 RT2 cos of phi, because this angle is 90 degree, right? Similarly, what is this length? What is this length? If I put perpendicular from this also, this is your phi. So this will be your I2 xt2 sine of phi. I2 xt2 sine of phi. But we are interested in what? What is your percentage regulation from this approximate equivalent circuit? It is nothing but V1 dash minus, or I will write down, V1 dash is nothing but E2. E2 minus V2 divided by E2 into 100. Means we have to find out E2. We have to find out E2. Now, from this triangle, again I will highlight this triangle. One minute, please. I will highlight this triangle. From this triangle, what I can write down? I can write down my E2. My E2 is equal to, 1 minute, my E2 is equal to under root of horizontal component of this triangle plus vertical component of this triangle. What is the horizontal component? Horizontal component of this triangle is nothing but, vertical component is nothing but this, means y bar. And what is the horizontal component of this triangle? I will mark on the downward side. So this will be your x bar, right? So just I have to find out E2. So what I will do, E2 equals to under root of, what is the x component? X component is nothing but addition of this V2 plus this vector. What is this vector? I2, please see here, I2 RT2 cos of phi plus this vector. What is this length? This length is, this total length is nothing but your I2 xt2 sin phi. So my x component is nothing but V2 plus this length, that is your I2 RT2 cos of phi plus this length, which is nothing but equals to I2 xt2 sin of phi. So for x bar, I can write down V2 plus I2 RT2 cos of phi plus I2 xt2 sine of phi whole square plus, now vertical component. What is vertical component? What is this length? What is this length? This length is nothing but this total length just a minute. This total length minus this small length. This small length. So what is this length? This length is nothing but this length. Right? So what is this length? This length will be your I2 RT2 sine of phi from this right angle triangle. And what is this length total? From this right angle triangle, I can write down this as I2, 1 minute. I will just extend this on the downward side. This will be your I2 xt2 sine of phi. So this triangle, this highlighted y component is nothing but this total length minus this length. So means it is I2 xt2 sine of phi minus I2 RT2 cos I2 RT2 sine of phi. Sorry, this is not the sine of phi. This component will be, sorry for that, this component will be cos of phi. Horizontal component is this. So this will be your I2 xt2 cos of phi. So for y component, I can write down I2 xt2 cos of phi minus I2 RT2 sine of phi. Right? So this will be your formula for E2. This will be your formula for E2. Okay. Now in above expression, same expression we can derive alternately by using the complex notation. So what is our reference vector? Your reference vector is V2. So I can write down in rectangular form this reference vector as V2 plus J of 0. Right? Then what is your I2? I2 vector is lagging to V2 by angle phi. So in polar form I can write down this I2 as I2 at an angle of minus phi. Minus indicates that this I2 is lagging to the reference vector V2 by angle phi. In rectangular form, I can write down this as I2 into cos of phi minus j sine of phi. J sine of phi. Right? Now, what is your ZT2? ZT2 is nothing but RT2 plus, sorry, not vector, plus J XT2. So what is your E2 from this? From this I can write down E2 is nothing but equals to V2 plus I2 ZT2. I2 ZT2. So just put the values of all these quantities. So again I will write down that equation. My E2 is equals to V2 plus I2 into ZT2. So just put the values in the rectangular form here when we are doing the addition or subtraction, and put those values in the polar form when we are making the multiplication and the division. So what is this V2? V2 is nothing but V2 plus J0. What is my I2? I2 is nothing but I2 into cos of phi minus J sine of phi into what is ZT2? It is nothing but RT2 plus J XT2. If we simplify this, what I will get? My E2 dash is nothing but equals to V2 plus I2 RT2 cos of phi. This multiplied by this into this. right? Plus I2 xt2 sine of phi, real term, plus j into I2 xt2 cos of phi minus I2 RT2 sine of phi. Okay, hence this is in rectangular form. Hence we can write down E2 as, from above equation we can write down E2 as again equals to V2 plus I2 RT2 cos of phi plus I2 xt2 sine of phi whole square plus I2 xt2 cos of phi minus I2 RT2 sine of phi whole square. So this equation and the equation for E2 that we got from the phasor diagram, both equations are same. You can check it. See, both equations are same equations. So this equation and this equation both are same. Now the resistance and reactance drop are normally very small, right? They are very less than that of your V2, or comparative to your V2, the resistance and reactance drops are generally very small. Therefore, the difference, this difference I2 xt2 cos of phi minus I2 RT2 sine of phi, this difference is also very small and we can neglect this difference. So, if I am neglecting this difference, this gives me the approximate expression for E2 as follows. So, it will be under root of V2 plus I2 RT2 cos of phi plus I2 xt2 sine of phi whole square. Or I can write down E2 equals to V2 plus I2 RT2 cos of phi plus I2 xt2 sine of phi. So this will give me the equation for the E2, right? And what is voltage regulation then? Percentage voltage regulation equals to E2 minus V2 divided by E2 into 100. Put the value of E2 from equation number 1 in this. What is the percentage voltage regulation you will get? Equals to, put the value of E2 here, V2 I2 RT2 cos of phi plus I2 xt2 sine of phi. This is your E2 minus V2 divided by E2, right, into 100. So this V2 will get cancelled. Your percentage voltage regulation equals to I2 RT2 cos of phi plus I2 xt2 sine of phi divided by E2 into 100. So this is the final expression for the voltage regulation that you will get from the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the secondary side. In above expression, the phi, the sign, this sign is considered as positive. This positive sign is coming for which type of power factor? It is for lagging power factor. So in above expression, phi has been considered positive for lagging power factor and it will be negative for leading power factor. So for leading power factor, I can modify this equation as I2 RT2 cos of phi minus I2 XT2 sin of phi divided by E2 into 100. This is expression for leading power factor. And this is also for unity power factor. So in general, we can write down the expression for voltage regulation is nothing but I2 RT2 cos of phi plus minus I2 XT2 sin of phi divided by E2 into 100. Plus sign we have to take for UPF and lagging power factor. Negative sign we have to take for the leading power factor. This is the formula that I got from the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the secondary side. This formula will get modified to the other formula if we consider the simple equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the primary side. Again we will draw the corresponding phasor diagram and that from that phasor diagram we will derive the equation. So in the same way, if you proceed with the equivalent circuit referred to primary side, what we will get? See, on primary side what is there? This is your RT1, this is your XT1, this one is your V1 as it is because V1 is not transferred on the secondary side, and this one is your load. So this is your RT1 now, this is your XT1, this is your I1, and this one is your V2 dash. V2 dash. So same general formula we can derive from the approximate equivalent circuit referred to the primary side. Now instead of I2 it will I1. I1 instead of RT2 it will become RT1. Cos of phi plus minus I1 XT1 sin of phi divided by, now it is V1 voltage on the primary side into 100. So this is the generalized formula if the equivalent circuit is referred to primary side. Now students, normally the resistance and reactance drops in holds at normal current and the rated frequency. These drops are sometimes expressed as a percent of rated voltage for the transformer. So if percentage resistance drop equals to I2 RT2 upon E2 into 100, which is again equals to your I1 RT1 upon V1 into 100. So sometimes what is there? Resistance as well as your reactance drop in holes, those are expressed with respect to the percentage of rated voltage as in equation number 2 and 3. 3 I will write down for the percentage reactance drop. So the percentage reactance drop for approximate equivalent circuit refer to secondary side is I2 xt2 upon E2 into 100, and the equivalent circuit refer to the primary side is expressed as I1 xt1. Sorry, this is not 1, this is not 2, this is 1. Sorry, this is 2. Refer to the secondary side means 2, and refer to primary side is I1 xt1 upon V1 into 100. So let us call this drop as VR, resistive drop as VR, and reactive drop as Vx, reactive drop as Vx. So this is the percentage resistive drop, and this one is your percentage reactive drop Vx, and this is your VR. So how your voltage regulation formula will get modified? So the voltage regulation equals to VR cos of phi plus minus Vx sin of phi %, right? Because I have replaced now this term in this formula by VR and Vx, VR and Vx. So here VR is nothing but percentage resistive drop and Vx is nothing but percentage reactance drop. The percentage resistance and reactance drop on full load are usually referred to as the percentage resistance and leakage reactance of the transformer, normally in case of the all type of transformer. So in this way we got the formula for or mathematical expression for the voltage regulation of the transformer. Now let us see what is the efficiency of the transformer. Let us see what is the efficiency of the transformer. Student, transformer is a static device. So there is no rotating part in the transformer. So as there is no rotating part, there are no rotational losses. So transformer has a maximum efficiency. So among all the machines that we are using in the power system, transformer is a most efficient machine that we are using in the power system, right? So due to various losses, the power output of the transformer is always less than the corresponding power input to the transformer. So the power output for any machine can be write down as power input minus losses in the machine. We have seen what are the various losses in the transformer. There are two types of losses in the transformer, variable loss and constant loss. Your copper loss is variable loss and iron loss is a constant loss. Higher the value of the power output means lesser the losses in the transformer for a given input and more efficient is our transformer. Therefore, ordinary or commercial efficiency of the transformer is defined as ratio of your output power to the input power. So output power upon input power is nothing but the efficiency of the transformer. Both your output power and input power are in watt or kilowatt. Hence, I can write down percentage efficiency. Efficiency is noted by eta is nothing but equals to output power divided by input power into 100. So again I can write down this as output power upon output power plus losses. Output power plus losses into 100. So what is the output power? Again we can write down this as percentage efficiency. What is output power? V2 I2 cos of phi2. Secondary voltage into secondary current into the cosine of angle between both divided by, again what is the output power? V2 I2 cos of phi2 plus losses. What are the two losses? Iron loss and the copper loss. Let denote the iron loss by Pi and denote the copper loss by PCU, that is the copper loss, into 100. Here what is Pi? Pi is nothing but iron loss. And what is PCU? PCU is nothing but copper loss. Then now let us see what is the condition for maximum efficiency of the transformer. Condition for maximum efficiency of transformer. The efficiency of the transformer depends on the load condition, right? So on no load the efficiency is 0 because there is no current flowing through the secondary side. But as we connect the load and we will increase the load, the efficiency rises until it reaches the maximum value. So let us draw the graph. So on this side, this is your efficiency, and on this side, this is your load in kilowatt. So on no load, my efficiency will be 0, right? Because the load is 0, so efficiency will be 0. So the output power is 0. But as my load is connected and I will increase the load, my efficiency will rise until it reaches its maximum efficiency. So this is your efficiency max. It then commences to fall more and more if I will increase the load further. If I will increase the load further. So the general shape of efficiency curve that I have drawn in this figure. Now again consider the approximate equivalent circuit of the transformer referred to the secondary side. So what is your RT2? RT2 is nothing but total resistance of transformer referred to the secondary side. So please write down, I will write down here, this is the total resistance referred to secondary side. Then for any load current I2, what is my copper loss? Total copper loss. Total copper loss for any load current I2 is nothing but I2 square RT2. Right? Yes. So this is your equation number 1. So this is your equation number 1. Now, from equation number 1, what is my corresponding efficiency? My corresponding efficiency will be V2 I2 cos of phi 2, or simply phi, because the primary power factor and secondary power factor of the transformer, they are almost same. So again, this is your V2 I2 cos of phi 2 plus Pi plus, what is total copper loss now? It will be I2 square RT2 into 100. Let us take this equation as equation number 2. Equation number 2. Now, let us divide the numerator and denominator in this above equation by I2. Let us divide the numerator and denominator of equation number 2 by I2. For the sake of understanding, I will write down this phi 2 as phi now. Okay? Because for transformer, phi 1 is approximately equals to phi 2, approximately equals to only phi. So just I will, instead of phi 2, I will write down phi here. So dividing the numerator and denominator by I2, what I will get? V2 cos of phi divided by V2 cos of phi plus Pi by I2 plus I2 square RT2 by I2 means I2 RT2 into 100. Let this equation as equation number 3. If the secondary terminal voltage is assumed to be constant, then for a given load power factor cos of phi, the efficiency will be maximum when the denominator of this equation number 3, when the denominator of equation number 3 will be minimum. So when this will happen, if I will equate the derivative of above expression with respect to I2 to the 0. So the derivative of this equation with respect to I2 will be 0. So I will equate the derivative of the denominator to the 0. So d by di2 of the denominator. What is your denominator? V2 cos of phi plus Pi upon I2 plus I2 RT2. Please students, try to understand what I have done here. See, again I will explain. If the secondary terminal voltage I will assume to be constant, then for given load power factor cos of phi, the efficiency is maximum when the denominator of equation number 3 is minimum. And when this will happen, when I will take derivative of this denominator with respect to I2 and I will equate it to 0. So what is the derivative of this equation? You will get minus Pi upon I2 square plus RT2 equals to 0. Right? So, or I can write down this as Pi equals to I2 square RT2. But what is my I2 square RT2? Please see here, what is my I2 square RT2? It is nothing but total copper loss. So, thus the efficiency from this equation number 4, we can conclude that the efficiency of the transformer is maximum for that load which makes my iron loss equals to the copper loss. So what is the condition for maximum efficiency? My constant loss, what is my constant loss? It is nothing but iron loss will be equals to the variable loss. Why my copper loss is variable? Because it depends upon the load current. So as I am changing the load, my load current will get changed. Hence my copper loss is variable loss. So the efficiency of the transformer is maximum for that load, which makes my variable copper loss equals to the constant iron loss. So let us see what is the load at maximum efficiency. What is the load at maximum efficiency? If we are given full load kVA of the transformer, if we are given with the full load kVA of the transformer, iron loss Pi and full load copper loss PCU full load, then we can always find the load corresponding to the maximum efficiency. For that, let us consider that my Q1 is the full, Q is the, simply Q, I will write down Q is the full load kVA of the transformer. Full load kVA of the transformer. Right? Then Q dash will be, let Q dash will be kVA load corresponding to maximum efficiency. So Q dash is the kVA load corresponding to the maximum efficiency. Now let us see Pi is the iron loss and my PCU is the full load copper loss. Full load copper loss. Then copper loss at Q dash kVA load. PCU is the full load copper loss. So what is the copper loss at Q dash kVA? Means at Q, what is my copper loss? It is PCU. So at Q dash, what will be my copper loss? It is Q dash upon Q whole square into PCU. Right? Why this is like this? Because my copper loss is proportional to kVA square. Why kVA square? Because my copper loss is proportional to current square and my kVA is proportional to current. That's why I can write down copper loss proportional to kVA square. So now under maximum efficiency condition, my copper loss equals to iron loss. Copper loss equals to iron loss. So I can write down Q dash upon Q whole square PCU equals to Pi. So Q dash whole square upon Q square equals to Pi upon PCU. What is PCU? Copper loss at full load. So from this I can write down Q dash whole square equals to Pi upon PCU into Q square. So what is Q dash? kVA corresponding to the maximum efficiency equals to under root of Pi upon PCU into Q square. So I can write down kVA corresponding to maximum efficiency equals to full load kVA into under root of Pi upon full load copper loss. Because I have considered PCU as a full load copper loss. Thus for transformer kVA corresponding to, this is kVA corresponding to maximum efficiency. kVA corresponding to the maximum efficiency. This one is your full load kVA. This one your iron loss. And this will be your full load copper loss. So I can say that kVA corresponding to maximum efficiency is equals to the full load kVA into under root of iron loss upon full load copper loss. If my transformer is intended to work on the full load for most of the period, then it is always designed to have the maximum efficiency in nearby to the full load. But if transformer load is variable, it is usually designed to have maximum efficiency at about 75% of your full load. So students, as your transformer is a static device, it is free from friction and windage losses. Therefore, it is the most efficient equipment with the efficiency of about 96 to 99% at its rated output. At its rated output. So you have to remember this, because your transformer is a static device and all static devices are free from friction and windage losses. So transformer is most efficient equipment in the power system with the efficiency of about 96 to 99% at the rated output. Okay. So thank you students. If you like this lecture, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks once again.